Hello and welcome to Wednesday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic and a puzzle. It's entirely my own fault that I'm having to solve. It's called Zip Zero and it's by GDC. And not only is it Fog of War, not only does it feature zippers, but in this puzzle, if I understand the rules correctly, and I read through them before I turned on the webcam, you can have a negative number on the zipper lines. And I think GDC made this because in a recent video I warned setters not to have that idea. GDC took that as a challenge, but apparently has risen to the challenge somewhat spectacularly. This has got an enormous approval rating on Logic Masters Germany. Now, for some reason I don't understand, there is a bit of a stigma attached to Fog of War puzzles over there, and it's very hard for a Fog of War puzzle to get, say, a 90% rating, because some people don't like them. I think it might be because they don't understand that you have to solve them logically. So they approach them by, for example, going to this square and writing in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. One of those will be correct. It will reveal all of the fog or everything beneath the fog in these cells, and therefore, you know, you might have the wrong impression about how these puzzles work. The idea is that we're only meant to use, the stuff we can see through the fog to logically deduce digits that must be correct, and then we earn our way through the fog. These puzzles are just absolutely brilliant. Anyway, most people agree that this puzzle is brilliant, so it hasn't fallen foul of the normal rating downgrade. So I'm sure it's going to be great, and I love Fog of War puzzles, so I'm looking forward to having a go at it. In fact, I've been working my way through solving some of the ones for the deluxe pack for our Fog of War Kickstarter, making videos for those over the last day or so. So I'm doing everything I can to distract me from the plumbing nightmare that is going on in my kitchen at the moment. Apparently, what are they called? A fatberg or something was discovered in a pipe this morning. I do not want to know. Anyway, I'm going to just sit in my office, feeling safe and secure, looking outside at the snow flurries that are occasionally occurring, and thinking about Sudoku. Now, what else can I tell you about? Loads more of you have been receiving your books, and that is great to hear. This is Cracking the Cryptic's Greatest Hits Volume 2. I had a good picture. Where was it from? It's from Tyson. Here we go. Tyson over there in Utah received a package full of goodies. Look at this, beautifully laid out. Thank you for sending us that, Tyson. Keep the pictures coming in. We like to see them, and we're especially delighted when you say you sort of the packages you're getting everything that you were hoping for. That's wonderful to read. Other than that, over on Patreon, we've got my lengthy solve of Roller Coaster Nurikabe by the Cogito. Oh yeah, I was meaning to have a go at the Cogito's new puzzle, wasn't I? I will try and do that really soon. So if you like lengthy videos, that's over on Patreon. We've got our All the Fun of the Fair Sudoku Hunt, which is our January competition. You've still got 10 days left to enter that. Maverick, where has thou been? Maverick's about to buzz past my window. And apart from that, is there anything else new on Patreon? I don't think so. But I've got a few birthdays I'd like to read out today. So I'm going to start with Tim. Tim, it's your birthday, and I know this because your wife Deanne wrote to us. Apparently you're having chocolate cake today with homemade icing. I love the idea that, I'm not sure what the homemade part of that, it only applied to the icing. So is it a shop-bought cake that has extra homemade icing on it? That sounds fantastic if that's right. But Tim, happy birthday. Now, Holly, it was your birthday on the 8th of January, and I only found out about this because your brother Dan wrote to us and said that you really do enjoy watching the channel, and could I give you a late shout out because your boyfriend Callum's email did not arrive. Well, it didn't arrive. I did check when I got the message from Dan. I even looked in our spam folder. I couldn't find it, so I don't think we got it. So Holly, I'm sorry I didn't read out your birthday on the 8th. I hope you had a good one. Maverick's in a particularly buzzy plane today. Yeah, so that's late, and I'm sorry. Also late, and also not my fault, I'm delighted to tell you, Clay turned 25 on January the 5th over there in Ontario, Canada. And I know this because your partner, Austin, wrote to us and told us that you did have chocolate cheesecake, which is I am a big fan of, on your birthday, Clay. So I'm delighted to hear it was probably a good one. And I pass on my belated birthday wishes. Next, Daniel from Aisha. Well, this is from Aisha, but it's the two of you's third anniversary of your marriage today. So many congratulations on that. That's a good excuse for cake if ever I've heard one. Next, David has turned 37. I know this because your wife Eve wrote to us. I think the two of you live in Denmark, but at the moment you're skiing in the mountains of Norway, you lucky things. I've got a picture actually. That's another of the pictures I've got. Where is it? Here. There we go. The two dogs. Now, I did read the names. I'm going to guess at... Ooh. One of them's Bella. I think Bella might be this one. And this one begins with E. And it might be Emma, it might be Emily. I'm going to go for Emily. I might have got it wrong though. I'm so sorry if I did. Anyway, next over to Munich, another great skiing destination. I have skied in the Bavarian Alps on one or two occasions, and it was very fine. And Matthias, it's your 45th, a secret birthday today. And I know this because your wife Tanya wrote to us. And then finally, over there in Vermont, it's Miles. Miles, it's your birthday. You've turned 7. Fantastic to hear about these younger viewers. And I know this because your parents Katie and Jason wrote to us and told us that you love the Sudoku puzzles with the 4x4s, and you did a number of the puzzles from the December Patreon competition. Miles, that is fantastic. If you can get through any of those puzzles at the age of 7, you are destined for greatness, my friend. And I am delighted to hear it and to wish you a very happy birthday. Now, let's turn our attention to solving some Sudoku. Let's have a look at Zip 0 and see what GDC, whose puzzles I love, has in store for us. We have got the following rules. Normal Sudoku rules apply. So we have to put the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, column and 3x3 box. The grid is covered in fog. Placing correct digits lifts it, i.e. the fog, presumably. Values of cells with an equal distance to the circled centre of a zipper line sum to the value of the centre. Okay, so let's have a look at this line here. Now I'm not going to fill in big digits in case I luck out and get the correct big digit and it clears fog, which is not how you're meant to solve these. So let's say that this square here was a 2 and this square here was a... Let's see where my fingers get to, a 6. Then we would say that 6 plus 2 equals 8, so we should see an 8 in the middle of the zipper. And these two squares would also have to sum to 8. In fact, 8's a good choice because that could be a 4, because this cell seems to be on the zipper twice, if you like, the same distance away from the middle. So we could have something like this. I'm sorry if this turns out to be right. It's luck rather than judgment. But it's a good way of showing how the zipper lines work. Now, okay, then we've got to shade some cells orange, so one of them's been shaded already, such that all shaded cells are orthogonally connected, all unshaded cells are orthogonally connected, and no 2x2 area is fully shaded or fully unshaded. So this is a rule set that we sometimes call Yin Yang, and it's a rather pretty rule set, and normally when I see it, I give this as the example pattern. So let's give that as the example pattern. Let's make all of those orange, and all of these, I think blue is perhaps the best option, because apparently orange and blue are the best colours in our palette for colourblind folk, and you can count me among them. I am definitely mildly chromatically challenged. Anyway, so if we look at the blue cells now, if I double click the blue cells, you can see that all of the blue cells are orthogonally connected, i.e. they share an edge with one another. You can trace from one to any other one via edges of blue cells. So all of the blues are orthogonally connected, all of the oranges are orthogonally connected, And I don't think you'll find a 2x2 of either blue or orange in the grid. So this could be a valid pattern. At some point, somebody will make a yin yang. I shouldn't even say it because now you will. You know, where I do the example and it happens to be the correct solution. And yeah, because I always do this example. But anyway, this is a possible yin yang. Again, if this happens to be the yin yang in this puzzle, I didn't know that before I started the puzzle. Now, what's next? The value of a shaded cell. The value of a shaded cell is its digit. What does that mean? Oh yes, this is the negative thing. The value of an unshaded cell is 0 minus its digit. Brackets a negative number. Right, so this is where all of the complexity, I imagine, is going to come from. So we're going to have some yin-yang shading in the grid, and that's going to affect how the zipper lines work, because imagine this was unshaded, so we'll make that blue, and this was shaded. Then in order to work out the value of the zipper, we're going to have positive this, and then effectively minus the value of this in order to arrive at this is positive because it's orange. That is very, very interesting indeed. Do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. But now I get to play. Let's get cracking. And the great thing about these fog of war puzzles is we don't have to worry, I don't think at least, about the fog in this one. We just have to look at this and work out what's going on. Right, now as we were doing the example, I did notice one thing, which is that this square is it's sort of, well, this total is going to be double this digit, because the line goes into this square, and from this position it goes into this square again. So this digit is on the line twice, and therefore 2 of this digit equals this digit, which is positive. So that's positive. In fact, I'll make that orange as well, just so we extra orangify our positive digits. So now this is even, isn't it? It's got to be 2, 4, 6, or 8, and that's got to be 1, 2, 3, or 4. By dint of mathematics, this can't be greater than 8. For some reason, I was thinking about Schrödinger cells then. Was GDC's last puzzle about Schrödinger cells? I don't know, but I've got to get that well out of my head. Well, now it's going to depend on whether or not these can be... both of those can't be positive. Right. Okay, so maybe we now turn our attention to yin-yanging, because we can see that it's not possible for both of these to be positive, because if both of these were positive and therefore orange, we'd have a 2x2 of orange. So we can't do that. So, okay, so what that means is that, oh, no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. I was about to say that means this square must be unshaded, but I've seen one possibility. If that's positive, then this is negative, because otherwise we've got a 2x2 of positivity. And now, if we were in this world, well, now we might have to think about yin-yang rules as they apply to the whole perimeter. Okay, let's take a pause then, and let's talk a bit about yin-yang thingies. This is intriguing now. So there are some secrets of yin-yang which are very helpful to know, and let me tell you what they are. They're basically 2 secrets. The first secret is, in yin-yang puzzles, you could never have a 2x2 checkerboard. And the way to understand that is to realise that there's a requirement now that the blue and the orange can form an orthogonally connected series. Well, however we connect up the orange, you can see this blue gets isolated in a lagoon from which it cannot escape. It cannot. It can touch this blue as a point, but it can't orthogonally touch it anymore. And the same would be true, obviously, if we took the orange round the other way. We'd just create a different lagoon of orange, and it would be equally impossible for this blue to escape. So what does that mean? Well, no 2x2s, that's the first thing it means, but it has an implication for the perimeter of the puzzle. Because we can sort of explode that checkerboard principle, and if we do that, we can realize it's not possible to sort of have a checkerboard type arrangement around the perimeter. So if you had an arrangement like this, the puzzle's broken again, because here we have to make sure the blues connect in the final shading. So let's connect the blues. Doesn't matter what path it takes. You can see this orange section at the top can't join the orange section at the bottom. So we can't have this sort of thing going on. And what that means is the entire perimeter of this puzzle is either one colour, or there is exactly one change of colour. So if this was orange and this was blue, we can't introduce now a blue in any of these cells. So these would have to all be orange. In fact, that would break the puzzle, because this would create a 2x2 down here. But let's say we didn't know what that digit's colouring was. And then we could have, well, then we wouldn't know about this part of the grid. But what we couldn't do is, say, have one orange there and one blue there, because again, once we attach the blues to each other, we've got a problem. So we could have something like that. That would be complete, and that could be orange, and that would be completely legitimate. So, right. So let's go back to Can I get rid of all the colours in one fell swoop? I can. So let's go back to thinking about what that means in the context of these two squares, both of which cannot be orange, so at least one is blue. Now, and these are positive. So what I'm thinking is, if this is orange, this has to avoid a 2x2, this has to be blue. And the moment this is blue, this is the only blue in the entire perimeter of the puzzle. So what that's going to cause is that shading. Now, is that a problem or not, is the next question. This would have to be blue to avoid a 2x2. Oh, and that does it. Well, that's broken, isn't it? Because, there's a simpler way, I suppose, of seeing it. But, what we can't isolate a blue in the corner, because there is going to be some blue in the middle, because we can't just have 2x2s all over the place of orange in the middle. So this blue sitting in the corner is impossible. That's a fairly obvious thing to note now I actually think about it in the correct way. So this cell simply cannot be orange and must be blue. Now that doesn't tell us about this one though. But it tells us about this one. Because we know overall we're heading to a positive number, and we've just made this number negative, so that must be positive. Right, and this is beautiful. This is beautiful, GDC. Oh my goodness me. So in fact we don't get a positive perimeter, we get an almost entirely negative perimeter. Because look now, because this has to be positive by zipper rule, we have to avoid a 2x2, so that has to be blue. And now we've got blues interrupted by an orange on the perimeter, so we can't have another interrupting orange in any of these squares. These all have to be blue. And then we can avoid 2x2s in the corners. That's actually orange by zipper logic, because this is negative, so that must be positive in order to arrive at an overall positive number. Oh, that's beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful. Well, you can keep going with this, because that's negative, and its equivalent on the zipper is this cell. This is the top of Evil Edna. Oh, we've got Evil Edna. Why didn't I see that immediately? Oh, now, some of you won't know what I'm talking about when I talk about Evil Edna, but some of you will. And if you do know what I'm talking about, then you're probably a great fan. You should be a great fan of Kenneth Williams. Kenneth Williams is one of my favourite sort of raconteurs of all time. Absolutely extraordinary man with probably the most extraordinary voice. But yes, Will-O-the-Wisp, of course, is what I'm talking about. Look it up if you've never seen Will-O-the-Wisp, and just watch a bit or listen to a bit of Kenneth Williams. Oh, that's distracted me. Anyway, Evil Edna is sitting in the bottom, but Evil Edna's antenna here, that's negative, so that's positive. And now that's avoiding a 2 by 2. That's negative. We've got to avoid a 2 by 2 here, so that's positive. We've got to avoid a checkerboard here, so that's positive. Wow, that was great. And Evil Edna, who was it? Mavis Cruitt, Arthur the Caterpillar, and Will-O-the-Wisp, of course. Can't remember any other characters. Right, so what do we do now? Most of this box is taken up with the task of completing Evil Edna's pieces. Right, okay. So we can't make the bottom of Evil Edna an 8, is what I'm next going to claim. Because if the bottom of Evil Edna is an 8, then these two have to be a bigger number than 8. And these two have to include a bigger number than 8 because we're deducting a number from the positive number in each case. Now, one of these could be 9, 1, but the other one couldn't be. So the other one would be unfillable. So that is not 8, that's not 4. Now, 6 and 3, how do they work? 6 and 3. Right, I don't think 6 and 3 works either. Because if we do have 6 and 3, again, well, we have to extend it slightly this time. We've actually got 3 pairs of digits in Evil Edna, where each time we're deducting a number from a positive number to arrive at this total. So if this was 6, we would know for sure that those digits have to be 7, 8 and 9, from which we have to deduct a 1, 2, 3 triple in order to get back to 6. We'd have to deduct 3 from the 9, 2 from the 8, and 1 from the 7, and then this square would become impossible to fill. So that doesn't work. So we're getting down to... I don't think 2 and 1 can work. That feels like that's going to fail, doesn't it? 2 and 1 is saying that it's saying we've got the same parity in the crossings of Evil Edna. Because if this is 2, you know, if this was 9, you'd have to have 7 here, wouldn't you? So they would all have to pair off in parity. So you'd have pair off parity, pair off parity, pair off parity. So that would be 3 evens and 3 odds. And then you'd have 1 of each here with a 1, 2 pair. So this would be an odd digit because the numbers 1 to 9 have 5 odds and 4 evens in them. No, we'd have to... Not sure, actually. Not sure. Let's try the other way. If it was 4 and 2, what then do we need? We need gaps of 4, do we? That, actually, maybe that's also quite challenging. We need gaps of 4, so we could have things like 9, and we couldn't use 8. Because 8 would need a 4. You need to go 8 minus 4 to get back to 4. Right, so the 8 would go here. That could be it. So maybe it goes 4, 2, 8. We'd use an awful lot of... Oh no, hang on, what do we do with the other even digit there? Oh, that's gorgeous. That's absolutely gorgeous. That's it. It's parity. Right. Oh, that's sick. That is absolutely beautiful. It's so simple once you see it. But I didn't see it until just then. But What I'm saying is, imagine this was 4 and this was 2. Now, we can't put 8 on Evil Edna now, because Evil Edna would need another 4 to get down to this number, a -4. So 8 has to go here. But the moment 8 goes here, remember... Ah, no, hang on. Yeah, no, I'm still right. No, it absolutely is parity. Because the difference... If two numbers have a difference of an even number, they're the same parity. So now I've got to put the 6 somewhere here. Oh, in fact, well, another way of seeing it is 6 and 2 can't work because we've already used the 2. But I was thinking about it in terms of parity, i.e. I need another even digit now to go opposite the 6 on Evil Edna, and I don't have it available. So in fact, right, so the first thing we're going to get here is this is a 2, I think. Ah, no, it didn't work. Unless that wasn't meant to clear any... Oh no, this was all out of the fog, so maybe that clears fog. Yes. Oh, thank goodness for that. Okay. So we are looking at differences of ones. Evil Edna's in something of a bad mood as usual, because the antennae have gone haywire. We've got differences of 1 in all positions. What does this mean? So the 3... Yeah, so wherever the 3 is in this box, it can't... Well, it can't be here, can it? Because we'd need to... yeah, we need a 1 opposite the 3. So the 3 must be a negative number. So the 3 must be a negative number. And it must be opposite a +5. Oh, but the 3 could be there. And if the 3's there, we're saying that would be a +5. Oh, so that was a bad thought, I think. Right, let's try again then. What about 9? Okay, so now we know that 9 in this box is definitely zippered. So 9 can't be negative, there's no way. So 9 is in one of those, and its opposite a 7. Alright, let's try and get this right then. So 7 could be here, 7 could be there, and that one is that one. So one of these is 7. Oh, wait a moment. No, that's fine. My thought then was nonsense. But can't I get the parity of this digit? Yeah, I can. I must be able to. Because again, once the difference is 2, we know the parity is the same. This is the exercise we did before. The parity of these is different as well. Oh, hang on. Parity is same. Parity is same. Parity is same. No, okay, I might have got this wrong before when I was looking at this. Because actually I've got... Yeah, I think I got it wrong. Before, when I was looking at that digit, I was thinking about parity, and I thought in the case that this was 2, that this has to be odd, and I'm now thinking that might be wrong. It is wrong. It is wrong, because one of these will have to be an even pair. It's impossible to avoid that, otherwise we won't be able to put even digits in the box. But the even pair will join up with the 2 to create 3 even digits, and then we can't put a second even pair into these squares. It won't work, because there will be then 5 evens in the box once we add the 2 in. So in fact, the spare even goes here. So this is 4, 6 or 8. Whoops, 4, 6 or 8. I apologise if I've misled anyone. I've probably got a whole raft of comments now saying Simon said the wrong thing at this point in the video. Well, yes, I did, but I didn't. I have now figured it out. Okay, so if that's even, this is even. Ah, that's negative even. So this can't be 8, because that would need to be positive 10. This is a tiny deduction, but it's worth having, isn't it? So this is 6 or 8, depending on how negative this digit is. Now, but, oh, got it. Right. Okay. This is beautiful. Actually, let me just pause. How can I have had half an hour? That's impossible. That is impossible. I've literally only just turned on the webcam. GDC, you are just mesmerised. Literally, I am mesmerised by this. But look, watch this. This is so clever. How could this digit be an 8? I don't think it can be. Let me show you why. Because if this is an 8, we know then this is a 6 negative to get us down to positive 2. But where am I going to actually put the 8 in this box? Now, we can't put 8 in a negative 8 position because the positive would have to be a positive 10 opposite it, and positive 10 does not exist and will never exist in these Sudokus GDC. So 8 can't go there. So 8 has to go positive here. Well, what do we need to put opposite it in order to make it work? We need a 6 to go there, but we've already just put 6 here. So it doesn't work. So that's great. This is a case where it not working is very welcome. It means this is 6, yes. Okay, so this is 4. We've learned that we've cleared some fog up there. And, okay, so now we know, well, what do we know now? Okay, so we can't now, the 6 here can't go there, can it? Because if it goes there by Sudoku, this will be negative 4 in order to get us back to the right number again. So we actually have to put the 6 in one of these squares where it will be opposite an 8 in a positive position. Right, so okay, so what we're now learning is that 9 pairs off with 7, 8 pairs off with 6. So the next lowest digit now is 5, which can't pair off with a higher number. So 5 has to be in a positive position here, and 3 has to be in a negative position here. Right, and that's quite good, isn't it? So now what we can do is actually change these corner pencil marks to central pencil marks. So the negatives are 3, 6, and 7. That must be the case. But we know, what do we know from that? We know that this, okay, this can't be 6 by Sudoku. These are 5, 8, and 9. And because this can't be 6, this can't be 8. That's positive 6, isn't it? Which, but the thing is, it could get ameliorated or increased in positive. Oh, hang on. Well, that's interesting. So if that is a positive digit, it couldn't be a 1 or a 2, so it would have to be a positive 3 adding up to a positive 9. So both of those would be, both of these would be orange. Is that a problem? I don't know. Oh, here's a very small point, which is perhaps worth making. Let's think about this digit now and whether this could be negative. And the answer is no, because making this negative forces this digit to be positive by 2 by 2 rules, and now you've got 2 positives adding to a negative. This is really clever. So this is actually positive. Now we've got to avoid a 2 by 2, so that becomes negative. Now that doesn't mean, does it, that this is necessarily positive, although we think it might be. If it's negative, it's reducing the value of this. So it couldn't be bigger than this, because we're heading over to an overall positive number. It couldn't be 3, because that would make this 3. It couldn't be... Ah, okay, it doesn't work. That's what I'm going to claim now. So whatever number I put in here, because we're heading to an overall positive number that's going to be less than this number, we know this digit has to be lower than 6, but it can't be 1, 2, or 4. Now, it can't be 3 for the reasons I just mentioned, so it would have to be 5. It's the only thing it could be. but now that has to be 1. So it simply doesn't work, which means this is positive. And now if it's positive, it must be a 3. This must be a 9. Now what on earth have we got going on now? We've revealed another centre of a zipper. I don't know whether I'm meant to do Sudoku on that digit. I mean, I might do. That's 5, 7 or 8. Look, it's quite big. So that's being adjusted by a negative number here. Yeah, okay. So in fact, this has to be quite a whopping great digit, doesn't it? Because what we're saying is the overall sum of those so we're adding these two numbers together, but that one's negative, to arrive overall at a negative number, and this is at least 5. So this must be at least 6. But it's not 6 because we've already got a 6 in one of those squares. It's not even 6, so it's now at least 7. So this is at 7, 8 or a 9. Now, so the maximum difference between these numbers is if this was low and this was enormous, is 4. So this is 1, 2 or 4. It can't be 3. Oh, this is gorgeous again. Every single step of this has been gorgeous. This can't be -1 or -2 because these two digits also have to sum to this, and both of these are negative. So the minimum these can be is a 1-2 pair, which clearly can't add up to -1 or -2. So in fact this is 4. Oh, didn't do anything fog-wise. This must be a 1-3 pair, so that's 3. Oh, that okay. I do think this is right. This must be 5. This must be 9. Yeah, everything is clearing. So this feels correct to me. Now that's giving me a 5 in the corner of the puzzle. It's giving me an 8-9 pair here, which must be opposite 2 digits that are going to add up to the right numbers to get us back to 2. 5 must be opposite 3. This is great. These squares are 2, 7 and 8 by Sudoku. That square is not 7. We've got the middle of a zipper here. Well, probably I'm just meant to pencil mark these in, aren't I? 6, 7 and 8. So this is positive, is quite positive. We've just learnt. Okay, and what have we got going on? We've got this very positive number. I might have to... Oh, okay, sorry. Here is a very straightforward point, but I've got a 2-8 pair left in column 9. And this one definitely can't be 8, so that's a 2 in the corner, I think. Didn't clear any fog. That's an 8. This is a 2-7 pair. And we don't know where the zipper goes after this square. We know these two squares are adding up to this number, but we don't know if either of these is negative. What does that mean? Hang on, how could that be negative? If that's negative... Oh no, it could be because we don't know where this goes. Yeah, if this went over here... All I was thinking there is that these numbers are all low. And for some reason I was equating these two in my mind, which is totally and utterly imbecilic. So let's make these 1, 4, 5. Oh. Well, okay, so it's not this one. It's these two. Because these are not very large. And yet they are producing overall a positive at least 6. Well, the maximum positivity we could have in these two squares, if we make them very sunny and very large, would make this 9, which it can't be. But the next biggest number we can make it is actually weird. It's 5 and 1, isn't it? Which is which is what it has to be. So this has to be 5, 1, sunny. This is 4. Yes. Okay, this is 6 by mathematics. Now, okay, so this did go out of the box, which is not... I was hoping it was going to sit in the box and that was going to give us the colour of this. But I suppose we get this one, because we have to avoid a 2 by 2 of orange. And now we have to avoid a checkerboard, so that must be also orange. So we've done the shading of the final 3 columns. And... well, hang on, something's suspicious about this square, isn't it? Because we're saying this square plus negative this square equals 6. Well, if that's only positive 2, that's got to have a very strange value indeed to get us up to positive 6. So that's got to be 7. Good. That's 2. That's negative 1 then. This is great. Keep going. Keep going. I'm very happy if you keep going now, puzzle. What's that done? Not sure. Okay, but perhaps... well, there's all sorts of things going on here, actually. So now we know those 2 digits add up to 6. Now my temptation is to say that they have to be a 2-4. No, they can't be a 2-4 orange pair, actually. Okay, sorry, I didn't think about that. But I was thinking, because we can't use 1 in the sum, I was thinking this was a 2-4 pair adding up to 6, but it's definitely not that, because these both can't be orange. So at least one of these is negative, which means at least one of these is a whopping great digit. So yes, okay, they've got to add up to this. So they can't be... they could be a 3-9, couldn't they? Or a 2-8. They can't be a 1-7. That can't be 3, so that can't be 9. So one of these is positive, one of these is negative. Okay, and then we've got even more complications after that, actually, because the next digit then along the zipper is this one, which pairs off with this one, which is a negative number, and that right, I see. Okay, so this must be negative 3, and that must be positive 9. That's the only way we could possibly get back to 6, I think. He says, hoping it's right. That is right. And now this is definitely positive 9. This is now just simply not 9, so that means that one's not 3. So this became a 2-8 pair out of that work. And in fact, now we know the order, because we've got to avoid a 2 by 2 here. So that's got to be negative. That's got to be positive. So that's the big digit. This is the little digit. That doesn't resolve the 7-8 pair in box 3, though. And, oh... okay, right, we've got a 9 here, which is on a zipper, adding up to this number. So that opposite digit to this must be negative, because otherwise this digit's far too large, isn't it? In fact, this must now be positive, because it's a 9 minus a number that's not as high as 9. So the middle of this line is positive. And... a yin yang point is that blue has not connected to any friends, so that's blue. Avoid a checkerboard, that's blue. Okay, we've got another positive digit here, which is definitely less than 9. And that's summing with this digit. But we don't know, or at least I don't think we know, the colour of this digit, do we? Maybe we do. Oh, maybe we do. No, maybe we do. Because if that's negative, it's at least negative 4, isn't it? And then this would have to be greater than... this would have to be at least positive 10. So we do know that's positive. Oh, but that doesn't... I can't use the fact I know this is a 1 to make this a 2-4 pair. because it still might not be. Okay, this digit is a 4 or a 5, is what I'm actually going to claim. And this digit is a 1 or a 2. And surely that's resolvable. Yes, okay, I can resolve it, but not using this, not using those two squares. I've got to resolve it using this, actually. If this was positive 2, this would need to be negative 7 on this line, and it can't be. So that must be a 1. Yeah, okay, so that's a 5. That's good. That gets me a 5 and a 1. Which means this is negative 8 in order to make this one balance off. So these squares in the rest of row 4 are now 2, 5 and 6, I think, by Sudoku, one of which is on a zipper, or at least one of which is on a zipper. Okie dokie. Now what do we do? Presumably I have to pencil mark these, do I? Let's do that. So we've got 4, 6, 7, 9. Now what can we get rid of? Not much. I can get rid of 4 from here. And get rid of 6 and 9 from here. So this is 4 or 7, but I don't know whether it's positive or negative. Okay, I might be able to claim this is a 4 though. I'm just going to think about that. My inclination when I've just done it in my head is that if I made that 7, whether it's positive or negative, I couldn't make it work. So let's work through that slowly together and see if that's right. So if this is positive 7, we'd obviously have to add to that a whopping great negative number to get back to at least negative 6. So it's definitely not positive. It would have to be negative 7. And then the only thing, this would need to be more negative because it's adding another negative number. But this is at least negative 5. Yeah, okay. So this is a 4. Yes, okay, good. Now, can we run that logic again? This square here is at least negative 5, isn't it? So if this was positive, you can't make this big enough. So this actually has to be negative. I wasn't expecting that. That's now positive, avoiding a 2 by 2. And this digit has to be 5, in fact, because it can't be, it sees all these other low digits. So that is a 9. That gives us a 6, 7 pair, which finally resolves what's going on in box 3. So we get the 7 and the 8 plonked in. Now we ought to be able to do some good pencil marking. We've got 6 and 8 in the top row. In these squares we've got 2, 3 and 7. In these squares we've got 1, 4 and 9. And from that we will deduce the following. Hang on. Oh, okay, it's fine, I think. Well, am I allowed to use that though? I'm not sure. I think with my glasses on I can see a little tiny bit of zipper arrow emerging from this square to this square. Oh no, I can't use that anyway. For some reason in my brain I was thinking this is the middle of the line, but actually even if that is true, this line's going on somewhere, so this isn't the middle of it. So it's not like I'm adding this digit and this digit to get this digit, so I can't use that at all. I'm actually pleased about that because I don't really want to claim. I don't like puzzles where you have to be able to observe a tiny pixel of grid furniture in order to make progress, and I'm now thinking that I probably don't have to do that. But what I am going to have to do is to figure out something else now about what to do next. 6 and 5 have to be. 5 is in one of 5's on the line in here. What does that mean? we're heading up towards a total of 8 on this line. So if 5 is in one of these squares, it's going to either be positive or negative. So if it was negative, we need positive 6, and if it was positive, we need negative 4. So these squares are from 4, 5, and 6, and that can't be 4. So this is 5 or 6. Ah, I see. This blue one hasn't got out and met its friends yet, so we make this negative, which means this must be positive to get us back to where we need to be. Now I can use checkerboard logic. That's got to be positive. That's not actually going to improve the world though, is it? Because that's not on a zipper. This negative has to get out. Okay, that's good as well though, because that must have an equivalent. Let me just make sure I don't mess this up. So that one's equivalent is there. And that's got to now be positive. And this looks like it's trying to set up a slight checkerboard arrangement, doesn't it? Okay, we made that negative. So that can't be negative 6. It would be too big, because this can only be positive 5 or positive 6. So this is either positive 5 with a 4 or positive 6 with a 5. What do we do now? 3 in this box has to be in one of those squares. So if this was 3, what would that mean? This would have to be positive 4. Might be possible, not sure. Okay, let's carry on down the line then. These, although we don't know the colours of these two. We know they've got... We know they're different in terms of their colouring. That's quite an interesting thought. That is an interesting thought. Let me just think about that. Oh, this is right. This is beautiful. Okay, that's it. Right, let's look at these two squares very specifically and think about the colour of them. Now we're heading up to an overall total of plus 1. So there is no way these can both be either negative or positive. They have to be different. But that's really cool, because now we can think about what happens if we make this blue. If we make this blue, we know we're making this orange. But what can we now put in this square? The answer is no colour works. Because if we make this blue, we've got a checkerboard. And if we make this orange, we've got a 2 by 2. Isn't that's absolutely beautiful. I'm convinced that as well that that's deliberate. That's too beautiful not to be deliberate. So what we're actually learning is this is orange. This is negative. This is negative to avoid a 2 by 2. Right. I don't know what that means yet, but it's very exciting. So these two digits, which are positive, can't include a 5. So their equivalents on the line, which are these, can't include a 4. So where is 4 in the middle box then? I think it's in one of those two squares, but I don't know which one. Oh, that's. I thought that was going to be it. That was quite cool. That felt like it might be a good idea for a moment. 6, 5, 8. There's an 8 over here. Oh no, I thought that was going to do it, but it doesn't want to. So we're still going to have to use some more thoughts in order to work out what's going on. What could it be? These two are both... If that's 8, then we need a negative 7 in this square, don't we? which is fine by the looks of things. These two have to be complementary. So they are 1 apart. And oh, maybe it's Sudoku. It's not Sudoku, is it? That would be outrageous. I'm just going to check what this digit can be. It can be, just from a Sudoku perspective, it can be 3. It can't be 4 from the logic we just thought about, because these can't be 5. So it's either 3, it can't be 5, no, it can't be 5, 6. 3 or 7 only, I think. Oh, that's far more restricted than it has any right to be. I mean, it is outrageous being asked to do Sudoku at moments like this. But if that's 3 or 7, at least I can pencil mark its equivalent, which must be 1 more. 4. Oh, it can't be 8. That's it. Yeah, look. So this has to be 1 more than its negative. But if this is 7, that's 8, and it breaks. So that is 3. Yes, that is 4. Yes. Oh, look at that. That did loads of damage as well. That's not 4 anymore. I wondered whether this line was going... No, I suppose it couldn't. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. Okay, so what does that mean? Maybe we've got to... Oh, we found the middle of this line now as well. But we don't know where it ends, so we can't look to this square, for example, and... Or maybe we could count it, actually. We might be able to work out where that one ends. I'll come back to that thought in a moment or two's time. Let me just have a think about... I think I'm going to pencil mark this digit, actually. Because I think it could be 2, maybe. Just from a pure Sudoku perspective, but it's not able to be 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's 2 or 7 as well. Oh, but this time it could be 8. So this is 3 or 8. And... Well, okay, that seems all possible, doesn't it? Right, so where do we look now? I'm unsure. Let's think about... That's not 5 by Sudoku. That's 2 or 6. Do we know which? Don't think so. Do we know what colour it is? Yes, maybe I do know that. That's beautiful. Right. Okay. So it's not to do with the value of this, it's to do with the colour of this. Because we've stranded this domino of positivity up in box 1 here. Now what would happen if this is negative? The problem here is that this is now positive by dint of the fact that we have to avoid a 2 by 2. But this, our little domino of positivity now, has to connect to the rest of the dominoes of positivity in the grid. So all of these would have to be orange, and that's going to make this orange and create a 2 by 2. So that's wrong. So in fact, we learn that this is positive. That might not do as much stuff as I was hoping, though, because it doesn't mean that this is necessarily positive. We need to know... Oh, hang on, we do know that's negative, don't we? I was forgetting that we do know what the perimeter is. Okay. So we just have to... So if that was positive 6, what would then happen with the world? Could that be a 3 with a 9 here, negative? Maybe. Or... Yeah, I'm not quite seeing this at the moment, I don't think. in the right way. How could I see this more clearly? Just click all of those. They're very much connected, aren't they? Let's click all those. There's no connectivity question, so we've got to get that blue out. Maybe what I meant to do is to pencil mark row 6 here, where I need to put in 1s, 2s, 7s and 9s. So that is a 1. How could that be 3? I've already got the 3. So that's 1, 2 or 7. These are 1, 2, 7 or 9. Now, okay. We might be able to think about this digit then, perhaps. In the context of this digit, is that... Yeah, 9 still looks quite interesting, actually, as a possible value for this. If this is 1... Oh no, that can be positive 5 then, can't it? Oh no, it can't be positive 5. There's a 5 up here. If so, how can this be 1? It can't be, because this would also need to be 1. Now if this is 2, this would have to be... Oh, it can't be 2 because there's a 2 here. Sorry, that's a simple way of seeing everything. Right, so this has come right down. This is 7 or 9 now. We might be able to improve upon that. If this is 7, overall sum is negative. So this is negative then. And it can't be negative 1 because of this. So it would have to be a negative 5, which it can't be. So I don't think this can be 7. I think this is 9. Yes. Great. Okay, now does that do it then? If this is 9, 9 minus 2 is... Well, this is clearly a negative overall. That's probably the key point, because now those two have to be positive to avoid 2 by 2s. The value of this digit can no longer be 8 for what that's worth. This is either a 7 or it's a 3. And no. Ah, you rotten puzzle. Oh, that's... No. No. I don't know. Maybe that's done somehow, but I can't see how. Let's think then about... Well, this is one of each now, isn't it? Maybe we can look at the... Maybe we can look at the next digits or something and see what they have to be. Because we're saying these two, so it's this digit adds and its sum with this digit. Well, how can we get negative 3 from those? Oh, yeah, we can. We can. Okay, how can we get negative 7 from these? That feels harder. There's no way. If this is 7, this is positive 1, so that needs to be negative 8, which it's not allowed to be. Right, so that is 3. This is now 8. 8 must go opposite 7 on the line, so that's 7 to get us back to 1. Didn't clear any fog, which is a bit worrying. This is now 1. This is a 2. This digit is known. That's a 7 by Sudoku, so that's not 7. That's not 3. That's not 1. It's got chocolate teapot triple written all over it. But, okay, but no, we can get this digit now. That needs to be a 4 in order to make the maths work. And that needs to be a negative 4. And now this domino has to get out, so that's positive. This is now 1. This is a 9. I'm getting buzzed on WhatsApp. That doesn't look too bad. And, okay, what do we now know? Do we know? Have we finished it now? Probably not. Let's be honest. Oh, okay. Here is a fatuous point, but I'm definitely going to use it. That is not negative 3 on a line that adds up to negative 3, because the other digit opposite it would have to be a 0. So that's going to be a 2. So that's a 7. That's a 3. That's not 2 anymore. So there's now a negative 1 somewhere on this line. And is it going to be there? Is that the equivalent of that square? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Yes, it is. It's there. That's a 1, and it's a negative 1, so it's a blue digit. Avoid a checkerboard. That's got to be blue. Avoid a 2 by 2. That's got to be orange. Okay, and presumably we just keep working our way down this line, figuring out what the digits have to be. We've got a 5 on this line, on the very tip of it. Negative 5, so it must have a positive 2 opposite that, mustn't we? But what position is that in? It must be here, mustn't it? Is that just positive 2? It's as simple as that. I think so. Oh. So that's going to be a 6. That's going to be 5. That's going to be 2. 6, 8 doesn't seem to be done, but we can put a 7 into this column. And this digit is going to pair off with that digit to make... Okay, and this is less negative than this is, so that's a positive digit. We've got to avoid a 2 checkerboard again, so that's a positive digit. This is a positive sum, and that's a negative number, so that must be positive. Then we avoid a 2 by 2, so that's negative. And look, we've got a little lagoon here. See this lagoon of blue? That needs to connect to its friends, so that's blue, and that's the colouring. We've done the colouring. We can fill in the value of that digit, which differs from 3, from 6 or 8, so that's 3 or 5. Doesn't seem to be resolved. That's slightly perplexing. These two squares have got to be 2 apart. Does that help? We probably should pencil mark this digit at least, but let me just see if we can win anything. Yeah. Oh, hang on. Bad news. Bad news. No, it's okay. It's okay. I suddenly saw that square was a 2 by Sudoku, and it looked completely anathema, but it's not, is it? That can be a 2 if that's a 4. These are 2 apart, but it's a 2, 2, 4 line, which sort of it breaks your brain. But 4 in the corner there. We need 3, 6, and 8 into this column, so let's put that in. And well, we must be nearly done. That 4 is giving me a 5 here. Okay, and this line finally gets completed, so that's a 4. That's probably been available for ages. Apologies if you've been shouting at me about that, but I've only just seen how to do it. That's a 7 by Sudoku, so that's a 7. That's a 6. That's no longer 6. Evil Edna. We can now complete Evil Edna. We need differences of 2, don't we, on Evil Edna? So that's 9. That's 8. That's 3. This row needs a 5 and a 9, which we can put in by Sudoku. That's giving me a 3 here. Now that means that this needs to be 6, I think. So that's 8. That's 6. This is a 5-8 pair, which we can do. 5 and 8. That means that's an 8 by Sudoku. And we haven't put in 1, 6, and 9. So that's 1, that's 9, that's 6. And that is a brilliant puzzle. Let's see. Yes. Wow. Wow. GDC, take a bow. That was fantastic. Start to finish. That was just fantastic. I cannot tell you how clever that is. How witty, beautiful. Logic is so clever. The use of the yin yang to sort of differentiate higher or negative and positive digits is so gorgeous. The way that introduction worked. The choice of using Evil Edna. How did you know? How did you know of my love of Kenneth Williams? I don't know. That's a sensational puzzle. All of the logic was, it felt fresh, and the use of the negative numbers completely reinvigorated the form in a way. I mean, when did I do? I did a puzzle. Was it Mixo's puzzle? Just earlier this week, and I said that has to be in Cracking the Cryptic's Greatest Hits, Volume 3. Well, this probably can't be, can it? Because it's Fog of War. We can't really do Fog of War in book form. Well, otherwise it would definitely be in Cracking the Cryptic's Greatest Hits, Volume 3. GDC, take a bow. That was fabulous. Let me know in the comments how you got on, and hopefully you all enjoyed it, well, even a smidge as much as I did. We'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.